What's going on, guys? Welcome back to United View. Hope everyone is doing very well. Welcome back to another edition of the Full-Time View. We're back. First Full-Time View of 2024, isn't it indeed? Manchester United are through to the FA Cup fourth round with a 2-0 victory over Wigan Athletic at the DW Stadium. Final game of the FA Cup third round. Of course, we now book ourselves a tie against Eastleigh or Newport County. Two other sort of low sides in the next round, the fourth round of the FA Cup. As always, you can call in and have your say if indeed you are a member. The link for people to call in, members exclusive, is on the United View YouTube page. Go all the way over to the community tab. You can find it there. You can call in. You can have your say if you're a member. If you do wish to become a member, you can do so by clicking the link in the video description. It's also the pinned comment in the live chat as well. You get your badges, your emojis, and your exclusive members-only content, and the ability to call into the Full-Time View and have your say. Now, you would have seen Flex, KG, and myself on the match view just there. We're through. Start with a positive. We're through. It's not a pretty watch. It should have been much more comprehensive than that with the amount of chances that we created. But realistically, it's just kind of Man United this season, isn't it? Not that much of really a pretty watch. They're sort of from an attacking point of view, it's very clunky. You sort of worried if we were playing a more sort of, superior, but a better opposition, we would have struggled. But thankfully, we weren't, basically. But as I've said before, I feel like that's just going to be United this season, realistically. That's just going to be us. Not great to watch, but against teams like we played today or against sort of inferior teams in the Premier League, you'll get through. And that's where it's at the moment, certainly. So, yes, be sure to smash a like on the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Let's get some calls. Let's start off with Amanor. Amanor, Happy New Year, my friend. Hope you're doing good. What did you make of this evening?
Hi, Owen. I only watched the second half because I was playing football beforehand, but I have to be honest. If you asked me before the game, what would my prediction be for the match? No word of a lie, I would have said I don't know. Just because I just have lack of confidence in terms of what Man United team would turn up. Well, I watched the second half, and I've got a couple of observations to make. The first one is, what do they do in training when it comes to attack and build-up play? Because I can't see it. Can you see it?
I couldn't see an awful lot of much, to be honest. Tonight, Amanor, I couldn't see that much.
Where's the triangles? Where's the overlaps? Where's the fact that, when you're building up from the six, from Kobe Mainoo up to the wings and cross it in, where it seems to me like people like McTominay, Rashford, even Garnacho to a certain extent, and Haaland, they don't seem to be practicing in training. Or if they do practicing, they must be doing it on their own because they must not be training with each other. But surely by now, they've had 8 days to address the fact that we've got one of the worst XGs, the worst goal attacking performance in the league, above, barring Luton and the other Sheffield United. You would have thought they would have focused that and demonstrate to us that we are addressing the attacking options. The way we play from the mid to the attack. It's just so disappointing for me. I'm glad we're through. I don't want to start on too much negative, but I was looking for more of a reaction in terms of how will they address that our attacking play is poor. And after watching that game, I'm still not convinced. And this is Wigan, who are 17th in the league. And yes, they may have created chances, but you expect these players, given the talent that we think they have. Well, this is a question mark. Are they really talented? They should be able to be more clinical. And if they're not clinical against Wigan, God knows what's going to happen to us against Spurs on Sunday. So that's the first thing I want to say, Owen. I wanted your views on that, really.
Well, it's weird, isn't it? Because like you mentioned, people, I think the opposite argument people will say is, well, we created chances. It's just a case of putting them away. But again, that's really the story of our season, isn't it? Once again, we have a game today where I know Bruno Fernandes scored a penalty, but in terms of the goals from open play, it's a fullback that scored it. It's a defensive player that scored it again, because the attacking players, apart from being a set piece, i.e. a penalty, they can't put the ball in the back of the net. Whether it's today, it was Rasmus Højlund had a bunch of chances, McTominay had a bunch of chances, Rashford. I mean, I just don't know with Marcus Rashford at the moment. I think Alejandro Garnacho played well, was unlucky, hit the bar. But yeah, I mean Rashford. Where do you sit on Marcus Rashford at the
I think
moment?
I have to be honest with you. I think for his well-being now, I'm not trying to sound patronising. I think he's not in a good place mentally. This is my observation of him. He needs to leave the club. I think Rashford, just for his well-being, because I think he will flourish in another club whereby he's not seen as the savior of the club. You know, if he's given a place where he can express himself, the pressure the club's not in, he will do well. I can see him do well, for example, if he goes to a club like Arsenal. Because, and the reason why I'm saying this, it might sound a bit controversial.
That's a big call, Amin.
I don't know, but
Rashford
but
at
the reason why I
Arsenal.
say this is that Arsenal are a flop team anyway. They won't see him as the clinical number one. He'll hide amongst other players who are equally as not as clinical, so he'll suit them. I just think the badge of United weighs heavy on him, and we can't afford to have players who have one good season and five below average seasons. And I'm not saying this facetiously. I'm saying this for his development, because he should have kicked on by now, Rashford. He's 26. He's still doing the same mistakes I saw him 2, 3 seasons ago, whereby he runs into blind alleys, still smashes across. You would have thought Benny McCarthy and people like that would have sort of told him, this is what you need to do, and he's not learning that. So, is it the coaching staff or is it him that he just needs to change? He needs to change scenery. Maybe that's what I'm thinking. And on that, Martial needs to go. The fact that we're having to rely on Rasmus Holland, I know what Flex was saying. Rasmus Holland is he the one? I think Flex is being slightly unfair on Rasmus. He's not the one. He wasn't meant to be the one. We were supposed to be getting Harry Kane or somebody equivalent to Harry Kane, and he was going to be the understudy. Obviously, he's not, and it's not his fault that United overpaid for him. That is not his fault at all. But then I asked myself this question: well, where's Martial? Again, Mr. Biscuit is not available. This guy is not available. He needs to get out of the club as well. So Martial needs to get out of this club ASAP. We need to make any money on him. If we can do it in January, that's fantastic. Rashford, and we'll give him long-term contract. Maybe the best thing we can do is if PSG or Arsenal or some ridiculous club comes in and says offers 65 million for Rashford, 70 million, we take that money and go. And in terms of this season, Owen, I think Erik Ten Hag will get himself sacked. I don't need to say the words Erik Ten Hag out. He will eventually get himself sacked, because if he continues with the trajectory that we've lost 9 league games or whatever league games this season so far, he'll probably end up losing another 6-7 games. Inevitably, Ineos and David Brailsford and Sir Jim will say, well, we need a change of manager anyway. What I would do in the meantime, though, the fact I'm hoping David Brailsford was in the stand and he saw that hopefully he's realizing that we can't rely on Martial, we can't rely on Højlund. We need to bring a striker. I hope they think, right, we need to go and get Benzema. If they can do that, then we've got a slimmer of a
With
chance.
that Benzema stuff, though, because I've seen people say that, but is that actually come from anywhere, or is that just what people are saying on social media?
I think
Because
that's what people say on social media,
in
to be honest
social
with you. But
media, yeah,
yeah, I think so.
because of course we should go get
But
a
why
great
not though?
striker, but
Okay.
well,
Oh,
money.
if not Benzema, Mitrovic, one of those two, proven players who are in the Saudi league, bring them on loan for 6 months. What's the
But
worst that can happen?
why would they come to us? Are
Because
we
well,
working
okay,
under the assumption
why
that
would
they're
okay, why does Jordan Henderson want to come back to the Premier League? I'm sure these guys will have the same motivation. Why would Firmino come back to the Premier League? Surely, if you just spoke to them off the record, hey, look, we'll pay you some money, just come to us for 6 months, do us a job. It's Man United. That would be enticing for them. It's only 6 months. It's not committed for them. They don't need to stay there after 6 months. Just give it a go. Why are we not trying this? Højlund can't do it on his own, Owen.
I agree. I'm not saying don't get a striker or anything like that, but I think it's one of these things where I think United fans have just like attached to it on social media, like we should get Benzema, and it's not even really a conversation, isn't it? Like we were saying earlier on, it's gonna be like a Choupo-Moting or someone like that, where it's just there's gonna be that market of the cheap lone striker that shouldn't be at Man United. You're a bit like Weghorst last season when we go, look, should be at United. Like he shouldn't be here. But that's the position we find ourselves in. And I agree with you when it comes to Højlund, that the fact that we've got no alternative, the fact that all the pressure's on him isn't fair and isn't right. But at the same time, it's like we need something. We need something. And again, it's a strange one, isn't it? Because it's either we don't create enough chances and we don't, or today we do create some chances and we can't score. So when you've got that situation together, when we do play like a better team and you're not going to create as many chances, you're like, well, we're definitely not going to score then because the players can't put the ball in the back of the net either. So it's a very strange situation, certainly.
I agree. Totally understand what you're saying, but I'm hoping Brailsford and Sir Jim Ratcliffe, I've seen that, and they said, look, we can't be going for chip promoting. I'm being disrespectful. Maybe we are at that level where we should be going for chip promoting, but if we've got any ambitions of playing in Europe next year, I'm not even talking about Champions League, just playing in Europe next season, we need another striker. Honestly,
yeah, absolutely do.
And I don't understand why they're not going for it. Why aren't they not tapping up Mitrovic? Somebody's not explained that to me. Why are we not being linked to Mitrovic or Benzema? Please, can somebody make that make sense to me? I don't understand why.
Well, I think it's because if we can't, if we're looking at a Choupo-Moting or probably even, it might even come down to like a Choupo-Moting about like how much money is he on? Because even if we're paying a percentage of a Benzema wage or a percentage of a Mitrovic wage, we can't afford it. We've got no money. You know what I mean? We've got nothing, and that's this position we find ourselves in. Just quickly before I get to another call, Amanor. Spurs at the weekend, with what you've seen today and what you've seen in the last few weeks, how are you feeling going into that game?
Nervous, absolutely nervous. I know it's at home, and yeah, home will give us advantage, but I think if Spurs have an off day and our players have an on day, we might win it. If not, it's going to be one of those games where you watch behind your settee and hope for the best. I'm predicting like a draw, stroke loss, maybe a win, but that's on the basis that Rashford and Bruno need to play. That's on the basis that Scott McTominay does not feature in the midfield. We have 2 6s, Mainu and Amrabat, or Mainu and Casemiro. I don't even know what the situation is. Casemiro and Mason Mount. Are they back? Will they be back by then? So I can't really say Owen until we know what the who's returning to that game. Then ask me that question whether we'll win or not. I just can't say at the moment.
Big up, Amanor. Appreciate you calling in as always. Couple of super chats here. Joe C says Ericsson instead of McTominay and United win 4 or 5-0. Red Baron says, hold on, people were saying we don't create chances. Surely that is better. Let's make up our bloody mind. Well, I think in reality, we created chances because we were playing against a really terrible opposition. That's part of it as well. I think had we been playing against a Premier League side with some of the build-up play we were playing today, I don't think we create as many chances as we do. And the alarming thing is there we go. I think I'm back. I saw, you know what it was? I saw, there you go. I'm back. I saw, it's this, my soundboard, because I'm connected to my soundboard. My, my soundboard, it just flashed up red. I went, that's not good. That's not good at all. Where was I at? Yes, K Flow says, Amanor, United enticing Big Ben's. He earns more than United can ever give him. And the whole CR7 was fuming about standards. You think Benzema won't be? Yeah, I don't, like I said, I don't know where the whole Benzema thing has come from, to be honest with you. I think that's just like a United thing that United fans have kind of made up, to be honest with you. Nevertheless, let's get to some more calls. Let's go to Chalaboy Comics. Chalaboy, well, what did you make of this evening? Is there any room for positivity? You're a positive guy. Was there anything that would be positive about tonight?
Yeah, the fact that we won, against former FA Cup champions, kept a clean sheet. Onana maybe had 1 or 2 things to do the whole game. Happy New Year also, Owen. I think this is the first time we're calling.
Yes, Happy New Year.
And I just want to say that it was a fine performance, just fine. We didn't get out of third gear. We just went through the motions. It was, I want to say, a professional performance. That being said, it wasn't thrilling. It wasn't exciting, but we did our job because, it was Wigan, yet most of the rhetoric before this was like, if we lose, and we didn't lose. So we got to give ourselves a little bit of credit for that. What I would say is just on an overall feeling of the game is I think it's been a while since this has happened, but I think it's finally official whereby uh, no one is scared of us anymore. I think Wigan even, we dominated is a strong word. We controlled the game, but Wigan still felt like they could, play. They try to play throughout our press. They try to attack us with speed. Where versus, I feel like if they were playing like City or Liverpool, that block is way deeper, and they don't have the confidence to try play through us. So there's an element of us losing our shine as time has gone on. But I'm happy with the fact that we created the 14 big chances, not 14 shots on target, 33 shots, and an XG of 4. So I think we're being a bit too harsh on the team. It's just, as I've mentioned many times, on the call, it's a player quality issue. We just don't have top talent across the board. Hoyland is 20, Garnacho's 19, Maino's 18. Like, we can't really expect these guys to always be consistent and always perform at the highest level, in the way that you can expect a front three of Ronaldo, Bale, and Ozil or something like that. You know what I mean? So I feel like we just need to temper our expectations for this team. They've shown us who we are and who they are. We're gonna sometimes win big games. We're gonna lose other games, and we're just gonna be inconsistent until we get reinforcements next summer. So I'm calm. I'm happy with through to the next round, and yeah, let's go.
Is that not alarming, though, that we have to temper expectations and we're playing like a Wigan side that's in League One and towards the bottom of League One as well? Does that say a lot about some of these sort of maybe more senior players? Because if anything, once again, the best players today were those younger players
Yeah,
like Kobe Mainos, like your Garnachos, and the
yeah.
senior players like your Rashfords, your Brunos, etc. Once again, they're leaving a lot to be desired.
Yeah, no, that's 100% true. I think the Wigan one, I feel we played. I was more speaking generally about the team. For today, I think we just played to the competition's level, whereby I don't think everyone was up for it. But the larger point is heard. I don't think Rashford at this point in time is good enough to play for Man United. If he wants to be a squad player and we bring him on as an impact, 100%, I'd keep him. I just don't know if he wants that. I definitely think we need better at that position. And yeah, I think it's indicative of the fact that we just don't have a great team, a great talent. And before we go into sort of the negatives, I just want to also shout out Dallo, because I feel like a lot of times people are a little bit too harsh on him, forgetting that this guy is only 24. And I say only 24 in the sense that he's just entering his prime. I believe a Dalot at 27 will be a way better player than he is right now. And if you remember what Ronaldo said during his infamous Piers Morgan, interview, he was told which of the young kids actually show good consistency and professionalism, and he said Dalot, or Dalot. I don't know how they pronounce it in
Diogo
Portugal.
Dalot.
Dalot, Diogo Dalot. Yeah, but
There you go.
yeah, he's a very quality player. His engine is really high. He hardly gets injured. I know he had one long-term injury, but he very much is available to play every game. Can defend and attack, quite well. So I feel like we need to show him a little bit more love as a fan group, because I feel like he has a really high ceiling, and all he needs to do is just remain motivated. And the reason why I'm shouting out that Dalot is because he has scored that goal 3 times this season already. Right?
Yeah.
It's part of Ten Hag's game model where attack with 11, defend with 11, and that area of Dalot picking up that space is part of a quote unquote pattern or system of play. So I just wanted to shout that out. That is what he's there for. He's a goal scoring threat when we attack. So just wanted to shout that out. But yeah, I think we do have a player quality issue. And I'm just hoping this was a case of us playing down to their level as opposed to this is the best that we can do as a team.
And I guess with that in mind, then, how are you feeling going into that Spurs game? Because myself, the way that I look at it is that I think it could be a quite similar game to when we played Villa at home, which
Right.
is similar tactics-ish, play over high line, quite high pressing, but if United play the right way against it, that ball over the top, timey runs, hopefully that could work in our favour. So how are you feeling going into that Spurs game at the weekend?
Weirdly enough, and I hope I'm not jinxing anything. My name is not Fleck; it's Charlavoy Comics. But I'm very confident. I really think with Son not being there, and I think Bissouma picked up a suspension last game. I think their midfield is looking a little bit lightweight, and I just don't see where too many of the threats against us are going to come from. I think the only way we lose that game is if we're architects of our own downfall, where we misplace a pass like during the build up or something of that nature. But I feel if we just play this game out, in terms of exactly what you said, the high line, I think is where we shine. Against low blocks we struggle, against high lines we shine. So I'm pretty confident about that. I know, again, one of our biggest weaknesses is also defending transitions, and Son is a master of that, right? So him having their most powerful weapon out, tied to the fact that they play into our hands in terms of to our biggest strengths in Bruno, Rashford, Garnacho. I think this is a game that we should win. I think it'll be competitive. I say 2-1, but I'm pretty confident for sure.
Chatterboy Comments is pretty confident. Appreciate that. Appreciate the call as always. We've got quite a few super chats here. Red Baron says lead judge's soundboard. I would, but my soundboard died, so that was quite tragic. And that's why the muteness happened. So no lead judge's soundboard this evening, unfortunately. Here we go. Rail's been a member for 7 months. Appreciate 7 months of support. Says Rashford is a purple patcher. If he doesn't score, he's like McTominay, offers nothing. Really saddens me as a local lad, but it's all I see. Yeah, the thing what's scary with Rashford, isn't it, is that yeah, and that's a Withenshaw lad as well, actually, thinking about that. It's even a local lad, and they really want him to succeed. But it's I saw in the chat on the match view tonight, people going, there's just so much Rashford hate. There's so much Rashford hate from you at the moment. But it's just he's so predictable and not in a good way. He just... I kind of agree with what Amanor was saying earlier on, where you're just sort of saying, just for the sake of like his, I don't know, his almost like his mental health and his mind. I don't know if he needs to leave United for that sake, or he needs more time out the side, because he had some time out. I mentioned this during the match for you too. He had some time out the side, and then you're like, right, Mountain, now's the time to get him back in. And he comes back in, and he's really just as bad. He's just as bad as he was prior to dropping out of the side. And people will point to, well, he got an assist this evening, and that is true. You can't dispute he got an assist, but even for that goal, he kind of flings a leg at it and smashes it against defender, and Dalot gets the goal in the end. But he just looks a shell of himself. And it's kind of wild, because if you think Rashford pre his form last season, he was like this, wasn't he? That Ranić season, he was, the Ollie last season into the Ranić interim period, he was really, really bad, really, really struggled, bad body language, clashing with the fans outside the stadium, infamously, like it just wasn't going well for him. And I remember watching him in Ten Hag's preseason, his first preseason, and he still kind of struggled in that as well. And he sort of gradually played himself into form. But I just don't know if I just see him doing that this time around. I don't know. I just don't know if I see it. And it's just really frustrating. Really, really frustrating. Red Baron says, it's very negative in here today. We won. Well, this is what's great, I think, about sort of, fan opinion, is that I don't think you can come out of today's game, and I think no one's unhappy that we won. Everyone's like glad we're through to the next round, because let's face it, if we'd have lost, oh my goodness me, it'd have been awful if we'd lost today. And I think that would have been the final call for a lot of people when it comes to the manager and all that. So very happy we won. And as I've said before, it's not always the best team that wins a trophy, particularly cup competitions. But at the same time, going into a big game at the weekend and just sort of seeing how we sort of played this evening. Yes, we created chances, but the football is not that scintillating. It's just a tough watch. And it's not if this was kind of a one-off and you go like, oh man, like I don't know what happened to United tonight. We've been playing some decent stuff this season, but we just kind of struggled. It's the FA Cup away from home against a team lower down the leagues. Sometimes that can happen. It's just maybe the fact that this evening's kind of just really the same of what we've seen quite a few times this season. And I guess depending on the level of opposition we play, it either gets much worse or it gets a little bit better, because just the level of opposition kind of raises the game up a bit. But it's not a scintillating watch, but very happy we've gone through, obviously. And thankfully we've got a good draw in the next round too. So you would hope we go through. And look, when you're in a cup competition, the longer you stay in it, you give yourself all the chances in the world. But at the same time, I don't think you can be like, just coming straight out and be like, it doesn't matter. It is concerning, and particularly when it comes to the senior players. I think the younger players, your Kobe Mainus and your Garnachos, again, you go really exciting stuff from them, good performances from them. But those sort of senior players, those sort of lightning rods, once again, it's still the sort of same concerning situation, isn't it? I'm going to take a risk here and see what the Manchester is doing, because little tip, and people will notice if they use StreamYard, I see the little boxes beneath me, so I see what people are doing, and I don't know what he's been doing the last 25 minutes. So I'm getting the Manchester up. I've got to get the two windows. Manchester, explain to me what you're doing here.
So I want to preface my spiel by
Yes.
saying this is in no way, shape, or form an attack on Rasmus.
Okay.
It
Oh,
is-
yes. You did some controversial super chats during the match view.
I did. And I realized it came across differently. I'm upset with the board. I'm upset with the transfer negotiations and the lack of direction that we've gone in. Now, I wanted to bring up essentially the transfer market, just to show some examples of the what from last year, right, from last season, as far as scouting goes, and what the similar prices were versus what we decided to do.
I like this. I like a presentation. Let's go.
So I went ahead, I filtered it to last season. I went to top leagues in the world, as well as national and international competition. So it includes Champions League or your local cups, right?
Okay.
As far as nationalities, we don't discriminate. Age group is going to be under 23.
Yeah.
Positions, of course, forwards, and then just by goals. Now,
Yeah.
of course, we know that the first two people on here are going to be unattainable, but they're going to be very, very expensive. You could even say that about Osimhen, Gonzalo Ramos, but then you start to kind of get in towards these areas right here. So Kolomuani, he's at PSG. They did pay quite a bit of money for him. Jonathan David, he's been at Lille for several years. The only thing that we know is that there's a estimated value of about 50 million. Santiago Jimenez, he had
You're a fan.
20. I am a fan. I'm not going to go into that though, but I was really just going to focus on the fact that he did have a very lucrative release clause until he renegotiated his contract. And it's rumored that last summer they wanted about 50 million for him. So similar to Jonathan David. Now, Xavi Simons, he went on loan to Leipzig. Balogun, 30 million. Openda was about 38 million, right? And so when you start kind of looking into this, you're thinking, okay, well, none of those numbers are anywhere close to 72 million or 64 million. So what is it about Rasmus Højlund that when we look, we have to go very far down? And I mean, it's not nice, but we have to go into right 62, right? And I know it's not just necessarily the numbers here, but it just doesn't make sense. The recruitment on here, there's so many other players that you could look at that would bring more value. And when you think of 35 million or something like that, you could have brought in two people for that price, and it just does. I don't understand it. And that's really just kind of the main point that I wanted to get across. And like you said, since I did send some super chats that may have seemed like slander, I kind
No,
of wanted to clear that
I
up.
think you're right. I think, to be fair, I think you're right. And it's kind of what Flex was sort of saying, isn't it, as well? It's sort of saying that ultimately, when you spend, I mean, how much is it? 64 million, something like that, rising to 72 on a player that's got 9 goals last season. You're putting pressure, you're putting almost these expectations that based on last season's performances, he's not going to reach, and it goes, and to, I guess, to your point, you go, then why were we doing that? Like, what were we thinking we were getting? Are we thinking it was going to be purely potential, which is fine if you've got the right now, but we don't have the right now. That's why we were looking for a striker in the first place. So I agree with you. There are those options that, I mean, people like Colin Wani, Jonathan David, that they were all names that were sort of linked around last season, weren't they? As you mentioned, they all got, a lot of them got their moves. So I don't know. And then now we're in a situation whereby I feel bad for him, to be honest, Hoyland. I do feel bad for him because, 1 week he's not getting service. And then tonight he does get opportunities, but he misses. It's just, we need more. We need more. And I mean, do you hope that Ineos will look at these sort of players now that hopefully if they build an effective recruitment department, is that a must when they're in?
I mean, I would certainly hope so. I mean, at this point in time, you've already spent the money on Rasmus. You may as well, make sure that he is either a project striker that you're trying to build, or you bring in, a senior striker. I know, the Benzema rumors. I don't know that they're, true at all. But I
Yeah.
mean, if you can bring that on a short-term loan, or just a short-term basis to train him, that something like that. I mean, you can't get a better role model than that in terms of scoring, right? Um, but I mean, definitely you need a senior striker, right? Or if you're going to bring in a model where you're going to have several different strikers, well, then look at some of the things that maybe Rasmus might not necessarily be, um, you know, bringing you. If you need somebody who is going to be particularly good at heading the ball in, then you can bring in somebody else, and it doesn't have to be one of the names on this list. This is really just a comparative, it's, for lack of a better word, analysis, so that we could kind of share, like, okay, well, what else was out there? What else was in
Yeah.
the market, and why did we go with Rasmus? It's just to me, I think that the nice part about the structure changes, and that I'm hopeful that we do see is just a clearer strategy on these transfers, clearer direction, on these ideas and transfers anyway. So that's really just all I was. So yeah, I'm not usual reckless takes like always, but
I was going to say it's the calm executioner. I mean, it's the alter ego. I don't even know what to call it. This is there's Batman. There's Bruce Wayne. We saw the Bruce Wayne today. I
yeah,
think it's
this is
privilege.
the
This
the
is the
man
Bruce Wayne.
behind the mask.
Man behind the mask. Oh, it's unbelievable. Big up the executioner. Appreciate you calling in as always. That was excellent. I tell you what, I love a good presentation. I love a good presentation, and I love a good comparison. That was a good call. I like that call a lot. How many likes are we currently at the moment? We're not even at 100. I know it's late. I know it's late for some, but if you haven't already, click the like button. Be sure to subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. You know what to do. Let's get to another call. Let's go to Sean. Sean, what did you make of everything you saw this evening?
Do you know, Owen, I tried to be negative about this whole thing and be like, oh, it's just a win against Wigan. I mean, we didn't even play that well. But I'm tired of that. Like, we're Man United fans. Our mental health has been on the decline since the last 10 years. Half of my time of supporting this club, this GD club, let's be honest. But in times where we get the win, I think it's better to be realistic about the whole thing, realize the situation that we're in all levels of footballing structure. We're just not good enough at the moment. So I'll take every win I can. Today wasn't a performance that would have inspired me per se, but especially with the lads from the academy, it just warms my heart as a United fan to see that. And I think more of us should take the positives from that. Obviously, we know about players who are underperforming, and we can talk about them till the sun comes home. But it's important to take positives. I think there were some parts, especially where I thought we played decently. I know it's against League One opposition, but Against Spurs, I think we do have a chance, albeit with probably not the favorites coming into that game. But again, with the circumstances that we have, I don't think we can hope for much more, really.
Yeah, what do you make of? There was a quite strong debate going into the game from Flex and KG talking about, if we were to lose, it's on the players, not on the manager. Now that we've got the win, and even in the manner that we've got it, Flex has actually quite changed his tune a little bit, and he's a bit like, actually, now I kind of see what KG was trying to say. Do you agree with what KG was sort of saying when he's saying that, Ten Hag can only do so much with this group of players because they're just not good enough, despite the result tonight? Where do you kind of sit on that debate?
Do you know, I actually remember seeing that show, and I wasn't even sober when I saw it. I remember telling my friend to vehemently agree with KG, because as much I love the guy, to be honest, he's an absolute legend. But in terms of what he was saying, and I remember the points that he brought up as well, I don't disagree with what Flex said. I think he always has a very balanced opinion on everything, which I highly respect. But fact of the matter is, I mean, I think we've got like 10 first-team absentees right now. And we can blame the medical department and everything. I don't know what the hell they're doing in there. But given the resources that Ten Hag has at the moment, I mean, look at our bench today, mate. We didn't even have Dan Gore in there. We had Omari Forson, and believe me, I managed him in Football Manager. Like, we are bare deep right now in terms of the squad. And I understand that Ten Hag has a lot to answer for, and I would agree with that. Supporting the manager doesn't mean that I'm going to turn a blind eye to his clear failings. But given today, I mean, I know people are moaning about McTominay being played. What else was he going to do? There wasn't even a single midfielder apart from McTominay that was available, and I just think that given, again, I keep saying that, given our current situation, given the fact that even if we do have a style of play, we can't implement it because the first choice players for a lot of positions are not even in the picture right now, let alone being on the substitutes bench. So I think we have to forego a little bit at this point and realize that we just need to get the results going. This is the only cup competition we're in. We've got a great draw in the next round. I saw your reaction to it, all of you guys. It was hilarious and exactly how I felt. It was a relief. So let's see as far as where we can go in this competition. And speaking about Spurs, I honestly do think we can get a win there. So I understand the doom and gloom around the manager. Well, I don't understand it. I can see where they're coming from. I don't agree with it necessarily. But I think at this given moment in time, beggars can't be choosers. We just have to go with what we've got and hope that the current crop of players who are not ill or injured or for whatever reason are not in the team, let's hope with the current crop of players that we can get it. I mean, obviously, we don't trust a lot of these players as fans, and I understand that, but we have to get behind this team. We're Manchester United.
Yeah, I mean, with that being said, then, I mean, you mentioned a couple of times that you're feeling not confident, but feel that we can get something out of that game against Spurs at the weekend. What's your prediction for it? Do you think it could be a bit like, the Villa game before, whereby, high line, Old Trafford, given the tactics, given the opposition, we could actually cause them a bit of a problem? How are you feeling about that game?
100%. I think if we win the midfield battle against Spurs, I think we're going to win that game. Against Villa, we gave away a couple of really soft goals. I don't really see that happening against Spurs, primarily because they play a very different way to Villa. I mean, honestly, I know it sounds ludicrous, but I think the main threats are their fullbacks. I mean, I saw the game against Burnley because I have a mate who's a Spurs fan, and I thought they were toothless in that game. If it weren't for Porro's wonder strike, they probably would have drawn that game or even worse. And Porro and Udogie, I think right now, given the injuries and absentees that they have, are two of their most important players. If we can silence that, if we can win the battle, I'm not going to say in the midfield, but in the center of the pitch, we've got the players who can hurt Spurs. Given our current reputation with the likes of Bruno and Rashford, I still think they're very good against a team that presses high. We saw that against Villa. It might be just a little bit more comfortable against Spurs, given the sort of quality that they have. Unless Richarlison comes up with a wonder strike, I think we should win that game. But my problem is not regarding Spurs. My problem is what happens when we go to Wolves away the next game. What happens when we travel to Villa? Those two are my biggest issues. We might just get a win against Spurs, but in the grand scheme of things, it won't matter much if we lose those points. So I'm more worried about those games on away from home. I know we won today, but we were diabolical away from home, especially against teams that play the way that Wolves do and Villa do. So I would be much more worried about those games rather than against common Spurs.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Big up, Sean. Appreciate you calling in as always. K Flow with a big super chat here says, and I appreciate the contribution. Says our chance creation is a farce, really. Stats will say different, but we don't create enough team goals. 14 shots on goal, and I can only count about 2 team chances. Also, no fault on the Rasmus, but that price is Vlahovic prices. So big up to K Flow. Appreciate that. K Flow also throwing down the gauntlet there, saying get the likes up, and I will gift memberships. I don't know if there's a specific target that K-Flow would like us to reach, and then we'll gift the memberships. But you can let us know in the chat. Then maybe we can see what number K-Flow is setting for us. The challenge could firmly be on, but appreciate the super chat there as well. Let's go to another call. Let's go to Pav. Pav, what did you make of what you saw this evening, and how does that make you feel for the weekend?
Top class performance, mate.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I tried to say that with a straight face. Oh my god, that was embarrassing. Do you know what I said to KG this morning? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we go into a replay back to Old Trafford, and that could have been a possibility. We could have been 1-0 down in the first few minutes. Obviously, Onana saved it about time we done something. But yeah, business as usual. We're trash. These players are trash, and I've had enough of Højlund as well. I gave this guy the leeway. I didn't want to say anything bad about him, but mate, you're trash. You are trash. I can't believe we spent 70 mil on you. Like, you are bad. The amount of chances you had today, and you couldn't put them in against a 70th place League One side, Wigan. Nah, you're done. Get this guy out on loan in the summer or sell him. He's not good enough. He shouldn't be here in the first place. We all know what striker should have been here. Should have been Harry Kane. But yet this manager prioritised other signings over a player like Harry Kane. We didn't need Mount. We didn't need Onana. We could have used those funds to actually bring in a top world-class forward here. And I'll be honest, like, without Harry Kane or say Victor Osimhen, the striker market is rubbish. Like, compared to what we used to get in the 90s, the 2000s, even up to maybe up to 2015, the striker market now and players in general, they are all rubbish. Like, I can't believe like the amount of money that gets spent on certain players. It is poor.
With that being said, then, so we couldn't. I mean, we say get Harry Kane. I don't think Harry Kane was attainable for us in summer. And this is me. Someone saying I was saying get Harry Kane. And
but we didn't try. We didn't try. That's the problem.
In the summer, going, "Oh, Harry Kane, he's not even that good," which I thought was nonsense. People were saying that at the time. But
yeah,
again, is then Rasmus Højlund? Then is he just kind of a product, shall we say, then of, like you said, this current market whereby players that aren't amazing or, like, say, are average or aren't ready for a step to like a Man United or whatever are going for huge amounts of money, and also the people that do the transfers are constantly taken for mugs anyway. It's like just a terrible combination.
You're 100% right. If we hadn't come in for him, no other club, say like a Bundesliga club, coming for him, a Leipzig or Dortmund, they would have paid half what we paid for him. If the fact is that we come in for him, is the reason why we ended up paying that much. And he should, like, his agent, whoever his agent was at the time who advised him, right? That guy needs sacking, because you should have taken your client and tried to progress his career somewhere else before he made a top move. Him coming here, this could literally take his career downhill so bad that he might not recover from it. If we don't make major changes to help this kid, because honestly, if I'm turning on this kid already now, there's like other people will do it, and I'm not even joking. Like, after what I saw today, I couldn't believe my eyes, like what I was watching with that guy. And I've tried to back this kid like so many times this season. Even this morning, I was going at him for why are you crying because you scored a goal? For what reason did you need to cry in that celebration? I couldn't believe. Nah, man, that's embarrassing. If I was his parent, bro, I would have grounded him. Bro, what are you doing crying for scoring one goal?
Scored Old Trafford. He's a Man United fan,
bro. Everyone who comes here acts like the United fans. You know what I mean? Like, I can't believe it. Like, somebody's like, I'm just like not happy with anything in this team. You know that already.
Yeah.
The best thing we
Well,
could do, I've already
I
said.
don't know about him being. We criticize players for not caring, and then when they show that we care, they care. We criticize them as well.
You celebrate and stuff, but at the time I was like, oh, I'm happy that he scored a goal. But after a few days, the amount of times I just saw this whole thing about him crying, being milked, and all this, I was like, oh, I was just like, I was doing a Roy Keane. I was like, do me a favor, and it's like getting over the top, and like you've not really done anything since you scored that goal at Old Trafford as well. Like I told you, he wouldn't because
he hasn't played, has he? He missed the Forest game for illness, didn't he?
Yeah, I'll give you that one. But look, today was just awful. It was it's Wigan, bro. I couldn't believe it. I was watching. I had the game up here, and I had your guys stream on, and I was sitting there looking at you lot, and I was just laughing at everything. I couldn't believe my eyes. I was just like, oh my god, like is this the depth we've come to? We're letting League One teams to go toe to toe with us. Like we should have buried them. I said to KG, as a minimum 4 goals, or it's just an embarrassment. And look, we're into the next round. It is what it is. And the other thing I want to say, Sergey, I've said it before. This manager deserves no signings. You can't get the best out of the players here that you signed and the ones that are here. So why should the club give you more signings? For what reason? And stop talking about Benzema and stuff. This manager's disrespected legends of the game, and you think Benzema's going to come here? You lot are dreaming, man. You lot need to open your eyes. Stop putting hope into your minds about people like Benzema. That guy's not downgrading himself to come to this club at the minute.
I think,
like you've got to be desperate to come in. The only players that are coming here, who are going to come here, are people that ain't getting game time, who are going to boost their social media profiles by coming here, just like Weghorst did. Get their little paycheck for coming here for the 6 months, and that is it. We don't need to bring anyone in. This manager deserves no signings.
I think
not a single one.
The Benzema thing, like I said, has made me laugh because seemingly that's just come out of nowhere, and I don't know. And it's just like, isn't it? We need to go sign Benzema alone. Oh, we just need to sign one of the greatest strikers ever.
we had one of the greatest strikers here at this club,
and assume that he would come. You know what I mean? It's just like, well, that's just not going to happen. And even if hypothetically, because I agree with you, I don't see why he would be interested. And two, like, you know,
if anything, if Benzema if he wants a loan move for 6 months, why wouldn't he just go back to Real Madrid? Competing for a league and the UCL. What's he going to gain from coming to Man United?
Until Mbappe, you know, goes there in the summer, he could just do something like that. Like I said, I think I like you. I do agree. I see that, and I go, come on, what we do? It's going to be like a Choupo-Moting.
And then the other thing is, why are people getting upset over Timo Werner as well? Is this what this fan base has come to? Like, you don't want any bit, like anything to come into this club, any bit of trosh to come into this club. For what reason? Just because you need something here? For what? Like, I don't get it.
Because we do, because this is my big thing with January. Because I will say this every time. I said it last year with João Felix and all that kind of stuff. Is like, we'll be linked with them once, and then they'll go elsewhere because that's where they were always going to go. Then we get angry that they didn't come to us, and it's like, but they were never coming to us. I
can't believe there's United fans getting angry over Timo Werner. I couldn't believe it. I'm not bothered about this January. I already know this manager's getting a sack. I saw David Gill. I saw Dave, and there was another guy. Is it Blanc? They were all sitting there. There was another guy there sitting there. I just looked at their faces. Like, you could not see one smile between them. They just sat there, look in their head. They know, what are we watching? Like, I saw some story that David Gill might be coming back to the club as well in some sort of form, which I'm kind of happy about, because him leaving in the first place, I think it's why we fell so bad at that time, and it's obviously just gone pear-shaped ever since. But that's one thing I'm actually happy about. So there's a positive for me. David Gill coming back, I'm happy.
Yeah, no, I agree. Big up, Pav. Appreciate you calling in as always. And that's where it's kind of like at this point with United, to be honest with you. And this is why I've always said, you know, the structure is the most important thing. The structure is the most important thing. That's got to get in place first, and then the decision regarding the manager and players, that will have to come at the end of the season. But it's still, everyone's still got to go, certainly. But appreciate everyone that's called in today. That's been the full-time view for you. Didn't get 200 likes. That was K-Flow. K-Flow said 200 likes and was going to gift out the gifted subs. Didn't get their gifted memberships, rather. As Joe Blackman said, remember, guys, 200 likes get gifted memberships. Not even on 150 yet. I don't think it's possible. I don't think it's possible. Wow, don't think it's possible. You never know. Unless there's a madness in the last couple of seconds, but I don't think there will be. I believe Mr. KG, the comedian, is going to be live for his, well, he said 5 things deep. I don't know how many things that's going to be. I'm trying, by the way, to like redirect to his channel, but he hasn't set up his stream yet. So I can't redirect it. I keep checking, and he hasn't set it up yet. So if you haven't already, go over there and be sure to click the like button and be sure to subscribe to his channel. I'm not sure how many subs he's currently on at the moment, by the way. Actually, I don't know how many KG's on at the moment. What's he? Is he 30? Is he closing down 30? Is that what he's heading to? Something like that. I'm not sure. But there you go. Anyway, guys, I'm out of here. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Transfer View. It won't be Match Day Reloaded. It'll be Transfer View tomorrow morning, because throughout January, all of the morning shows are Transfer View. So we're chatting about the latest transfer news and all that kind of stuff, you know. So, yes, appreciate everyone that's tuned in, and I'll see you again tomorrow morning. I'm out of here. Peace.